Welcome to the Celebrity Love Show, the only show about what went wrong with failed relationships. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share, and let us go ahead and begin, shall we? Alright. Today's celebrity is Taylor Swift. I'll be going over all of her past relationships, as well as provide my final thoughts. Alright, so first thing is first about Taylor Swift. She's 36 years old, never been married. Now, I'll be going over all of her past relationships. But one thing is first, a quick profile glance. She is currently in a relationship lasting 2 years so far. So she's technically still single since she's not yet married. I heard that they are going to be living together. Not sure if that's happened already. But for the purpose of clarity, she's technically single, even though she's already with somebody for 2 years. Anything can happen. What can I say? So let's go ahead and go over Taylor's failed relationships, because that's what this channel is all about. Learning from other people's failures so that you yourself do not repeat those failures. And I bet that they wouldn't want you to repeat those types of failures, so that you can learn and thrive, as I'm sure that she is doing now. She has a beautiful voice, by the way. Very powerful voice. Alright, so let's go ahead and pick into this publicly available information here. Joe Jonas in 2008, why they broke up. He famously broke up with her in a 27-second phone call. That's kind of brutal. So let's see. Reports at the time suggested the distance and his touring schedule were factors. Okay, that seems legit. Lots of stress with all the touring. With later rumors hinting he may have been interested in someone else. Okay, well, that could happen. Long distance relationships are never guaranteed. It's extremely stressful. So that's a pretty sad. I bet that one hurt a bit, quite a bit. But the very next year, she got in a relationship with Taylor Lautner. Why they broke up. Described as a mutual and amicable split. That's always good. Amicably. I like that. Due to conflicting schedules. And, well, here we go. Here we go. Once again, right? Similar to Joe Jonas. And the challenges of a young Hollywood relationship. Right. That's very challenging, actually. Her song Back to December is considered an apology for not being fully present. Alright, so I bet there's a lot more to that. Hours and hours of explanation. Alright, so candidate number 3, John Mayer, from late 2009 to early 2010. Alright. Kinda quick, if you'd ask me. These are very quick relationships so far. Why they broke up, cited as a painful and manipulative relationship with a significant age and power imbalance. Oh boy. Her scorching song Dear John, which we will be going over, points to emotional turbulence and heartbreak. Mayer later called the song cheap songwriting. Alright, so there is some animosity there. There's some pretty hard feelings. I mean, to actually publish a song, to say painful is probably an understatement. It was probably much worse than that. Not to say anything bad about John Mayer. He has a great voice as well. He's very talented. I like quite a few of his songs. But we're not here to talk about what I like. The thing is, who knows how bad that relationship really was. But manipulation is by far one of the most painful, because it is a form of abuse if it's to the extreme. But I'm not sure how extreme it was. All I know is that must have been a lot of pain really fast, because that relationship didn't last too long. It's really interesting, the age and power imbalance, because that's often what you get when one partner is older than the other. It's inevitable. You're going to have a power imbalance. So the key is to find a middle ground, because it doesn't matter how old you are or how young you are. It's a 50-50 situation all across the board. It doesn't matter who's the older one. So that's kind of sad to see. But so So far in these past 3 relationships we're going over so far, these are a bunch of quickies, moving way too fast. So you're going to trip over yourself. Too many candidates so far. All right, so candidate number 4, Jake Gyllenhaal. So that's from October to December 2010. All right, so back at it. Why they broke up, never officially stated, but lyrics from, oh, well, okay. This is kind of interesting. So she writes about her breakups in her songs. Well, I mean, it's a way to cope with the pain, you know, but it's kind of a bad habit because it's kind of holding on to the past and sharing it with others. You got to move on. What I see here is like repeated failures one after the other because she's moving too quickly, in my opinion. But the lyrics from All Too Well and The Moment I Knew strongly suggest Gyllenhaal was emotionally negligent and inconsistent, failing to show up for her 21st birthday party. Well, that's very young. She's moving extremely fast for such a young age. Which was a final straw, the age gap. She was 29, he was 20. And differing life stages are also cited. Okay. Well, let's continue to move on because she's moving like a bullet, like a fastest train ever. It's just gonna get into a train wreck. What can I say? Conor Kennedy, summer 2012. So, okay, so she took a little bit, couple years break. Almost, I guess. Why they broke up. The relationship faded quickly amid reports of media scrutiny and pressure on the young Kennedy family, as well as their significant age difference. All right, so age difference already in 3 different relationships, significant age differences. Doesn't mean it can't work out. It just means that it's going to be an added stressor. It is challenging, especially with her profession. She was 22 and he was 17, 18. Well, that's kind of shady territory. What can I say? Yeah, these are just... I don't know if these are flings that tried to turn into a relationship, but not really well planned out. So 5 candidates. The body count isn't that high, but it is moderate. All right, next to Harry Styles from late 2012 to early 2013. These are extremely short-lived relationships. My goodness, this is so fast. Why they broke up, described as a fury on and off again fling. Yeah, that's what I said, fling. Lyrics from, here we go with the 3rd song. My goodness. Out of the Woods. Reference, it seems like an addiction. With her relationship failures, she has to get it out through a song. I'm not in favor of that. I think it actually does you more harm than good. Because you're like engraving it. You're like solidifying it. The pain. You're writing it in stone. Because this song's going to be out there forever. Now, I understand there's preferences, but you're kind of immortalizing the failed relationships by doing this. I'm going to call it a bad habit. You know, to each their own, but that's how I feel about it. It's probably just making a bad situation worse, you know, the inner emotions to deal with. From Out of the Woods reference, a snowmobile accident and constant anxiety, the breakup is widely attributed to clashing lifestyles. All right, so once again, the same mistakes. Constant media pressure and general instability. Well, who cares about media pressure? I mean, you chose this profession. You're rocking it. You're doing great. I don't see that as much of an excuse. I know paparazzi can be a real nightmare, but you gotta make it work. You know, that's your profession. So, all right, let's go ahead and move on to the next candidate, number 7. Calvin Harris from March 2015 to June 2016. Another short-lived relationship. Why they broke up, initially called amicable, but it quickly turned public. The primary catalyst was reportedly her wanting to reveal their secret collaboration. This is what you came for. And his desire to keep their private and professional lives separate. Okay, that's understandable. Public feuding ensued after she began dating Tom Hiddleston, which is our 8th candidate. I'm not sure what she's looking for, but clearly choosing the wrong men. Or maybe the men are correct and she's the problem. Who knows? Who knows? Tom Hiddleston, June to September 2016, incredibly short. Why they broke up, dubbed a whirlwind summer romance that ended abruptly. Reports consistently state Swift was uncomfortable with how public and performative the relationship became. The I Love TS tank top, not sure what that means. She reportedly felt it was a moving too fast and lacked authenticity. Well, everything here is too fast. I mean, we're in 8 relationships. You're doing great professionally, but you're stumbling upon yourself relationship-wise. So much unnecessary pain. Joe Alwyn from fall 2016 to April 2023. Okay, here we go. Doing much better, staying with a person for more than a year or less. That's progress. Why they broke up. The most private and longest relationship. There we go. No official reason given. That's interesting. But sources close to both stated it was largely due to diverging life paths and personalities. He preferred an intensely private, low-key life in London, while her career re-entered a massive global public phase with the Eras Tour. It's described as a gradual growing apart. Well, the distance. So we're back to where we started. Long-distance relationships. The stress of the tours. So that's interesting. So that finally brings us to candidate number 10. Maybe this is where she's going to get it right. So from the summer of 2003 to present day. All right, so 3 years. Not bad, right? So far. Travis Kelce, current status, still together. Well, that's nice to hear. So we do have a sort of happy ending. But do we? Because we all know with celebrities, anything can happen, right? I hope so. I hope Travis is the one. I hope she learned from these past failed relationships, because this is quite a doozy. Quite a story here. Moving so fast like lightning. But one thing that really caught my eye of all her failed relationships, I know she wrote songs about the other guys. We know that. But the one that really caught my eye was the song about John Mayer. Because that was the most extremely horrible experience that I see in her past relationships, with the supposed manipulation, allegedly, right? I know John Mayer has his own version of what happened, but let's go ahead and take a deep look into the message that she wrote to John Mayer, because we heard that she writes songs about her broken relationships, right? So let's get an idea of what she has to say and see what we can tell, about what she might have went through, right? Dear John is the name of the song. Long were the nights when my days once revolved around you, counting my footsteps, praying the floor won't fall through again. Okay. My mother accused me of losing my mind, but I swore I was fine. You paint me blue sky, then you go back and turn it to rain. All right, so this is like an on and off, like a roller coaster relationship here. And I lived in the chess game. That's the manipulation she was referring to. But you change the rules every day, wondering which version of you I might get on the phone. Tonight, well, I stopped picking up, and this song is to let you know why. So, dear John, I see it all now that you're gone. Don't you think I was too young to be messed with? Yeah, she was very young, and John Mayer was significantly older than her. The girl in the dress cried the whole way home. I should have known. Well, maybe it's me and my blind optimism to blame. Well, optimism is always great to have in a relationship. But being that young, it's a high risk. It's a gamble with somebody much older than you. I would say maybe in your middle 20s you would be ready for that. Early 20s at best. Should have held off a little bit longer to know what you were getting into, but sometimes that's just the way things happen. And my blind optimism to blame. And or maybe it's you and your sick need to give love, then take it away. Not sure what's going on there, but sounds pretty bad. And you'll add my name to your long list of traitors who don't understand, and I'll look back and regret I ignored when they said run as fast as you can. Okay, so people were telling her that it's not a good relationship, you need to get away. That's positive advice, but ultimately you're going to have to be the one to decide. It's quite a sad story here. So, dear John, I see it all now. Okay. I see it all now. It was wrong. Don't you think 19's too young? Yeah, so she was 19. I remember that. To be played by your dark, twisted games. Can only imagine what that is. When I loved you so, I should have known you are an expert at sorry and keeping lines blurry. Alright, so, I don't know, maybe possibly infidelity. It's not really clear, but there's only so much you can say in a song because, yeah, John Mayer is going to be obviously listening to this. Never impressed by my acing your tests. All the girls that you've run dry have tried. Lifeless eyes, 'cause you burned them out. But I took your matches before fire could catch me, so I don't look now. Alright, quite poetic here. I'm shining like fireworks over your sad empty town. I see it all now. Okay. So, yeah, repeat. Close for the chorus part there. Well, sounds pretty intense. That's what caught my eye was, I didn't know that. You know, I didn't follow Taylor Swift closely, but John Mayer, I only recently bumped into him several years ago or a few years ago in between a few songs. But to find out about this relationship was intriguing to me because Taylor Swift seems like a good person and John Mayer as well. It's unfortunate because you never know what happens behind closed doors. So it brings me over to my final thoughts. Well, I believe Taylor was running way too fast, way too young. So let us all learn from that. For those of you out there who are still struggling with the relationships or a marriage, or you're single, trying to mingle, don't run. Running is never, like what I mean by running is you just fall for the first person that you see, the first one in line. You're not thinking straight. You really aren't. You gotta really think about what you're doing. You know, who you're with. It doesn't mean don't trust anybody. I can't stand that level of extreme either. Because then you'll never be successful with that type of attitude. If you say, I can't trust anybody, either because of your past failed relationships or because you're just scared to trust anybody, you're going to lose. The way love is realized ultimately is by committing to each other. Obviously, Taylor seemed to have committed far too young, far too quickly, and far too many times. She should have just taken a really good amount of time off, which it looks like she eventually did. So I do wish her all the best with her current relationship. I really do. But as far as learning from these past experiences, I would say don't write songs about failed relationships because that's only solidifying the pain. You're literally immortalizing it. So I've already pointed that out, but I do want to reiterate it because it's so important. For instance, if you're with a new partner, don't talk about your past so many times. Once is enough, a couple of times maybe. But you're only opening up past wounds. It's not a healthy thing to do. So that's my advice. Those are my final thoughts. So with that said, be sure to comment with your thoughts because this concludes our show for today, and check out my other exciting shows shown here. Stay tuned for more celebrity love shows ahead, and much love, everybody.